These are my tips for the Vifo A119S dashcam. If you bought a CPL filter and want to verify that it has been aligned correctly in its housing, you're going to need a smartphone, a television, or a computer monitor. Take your CPL filter, flip it around and look through the lens as if it was on the camera, and point it at your smartphone. When you rotate your CPL filter 90 degrees, it should darken to completely black right at 90. If it is any other degree, that is not aligned correctly in the frame, and you'll have to pop it out of this plastic frame so that when you do rotate it, it goes black right at 90 degrees. That's how you test your CPL filter. To mount your CPL filter with the two clips that come on the new dash cams now, orient the larger slot so it is actually this position, and that is to ensure when you're mounting this on your windshield, when you aim your lens, that if on a hot day this lens wants to pop out, it won't drop out the bottom. So the wider slot in this position. In your vehicle, another tip is to keep a small paintbrush. Any type will be good, but a soft one is the best. And just use this to clear off the dust that will accumulate over time off your CPL. And if you don't have a CPL, you're going to need it anyway to clean off the dust on your lens. This will be very useful, especially on long trips or if you're going in a dusty environment. Keep one of these in your vehicle in a plastic bag, just for that day that you notice your lens needs a little touch-up cleaning. We're going to open up the dash cam and I'm going to show you some very simple modifications you can make inside. To open your A119S dashcam, see my disassemble, reassemble video. Once opened, take a snapshot of the interior components of your dashcam, just to compare with what you see now. Most of them will have these three issues that are very simple to solve. One is quite obvious. It's the red and black speaker wires that are hovering, or could be in your case touching, the hottest part of your dashcam, the processor, which is underneath that shielding. That position of some very fine wires that could easily melt there and short out can be easily remedied by simply relocating them. And it's just a position at the bottom. That would be the first improvement. The second improvement you can see are the capacitors interfering with the ribbon cable for the lens. So when you're rotating your lens, what's happening is the capacitors might be hitting and blocking and rubbing against the ribbon cable. So the simple solution is just to move away the capacitors from that area so there's no friction between the ribbon cable and the capacitors. The third improvement, which isn't obvious, has to do with heating, or should I say cooling. To see this area, you have to remove your lens module. Now in this case, I am going to actually remove it with the ribbon cable also, just for demonstration. Underneath your lens module is this area at the top where the cooling vents are. If you can't see them when you remove your lens module, it's because you have some black tape that's covering every single one of those cooling holes. I suggest you cut that tape. You can peel it off and reapply it, no problem. Cut it with a pair of scissors and just put it on exactly as shown here. And you will not cover the cooling vents so that heat doesn't build up in this area. Very simple modification, especially for people in hot environments. This would be very useful. To further reduce the heating in your dash cam, to disable menu options you don't actually use, which could be the wide dynamic range, the lane departure warning system, the forward collision warning system, the G sensor, and if you absolutely don't need 60 frames per second in your video, drop it down to 30 frames per second. That will reduce the processor load, reduce the heat, and extend all component life. Those are my tips on reducing heat within your dash cam.